Okay, welcome back live at the spin cycle. Anybody here yet? No. Okay, I'm just gonna do my thing here and go to my favorite Reddits. The leopards ate my face. I think, what is it, 6 a.m. in New York now? Something like that. A small group of GOP women have been among the most vocal in raising what their colleagues say is a broader frustration with the speaker. Gift article. Okay. The New York Times. See if they can cut me off on that. Representative Lee Stefanik of New York called Speaker Mike Johnson a habitual liar. Representative Nancy Mace of South Carolina has told People she is so frustrated with the Louisiana Republican and sick of the way he has run the House, particularly how women are treated there, that she is planning to huddle with Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia next week to discuss following her lead and retiring early from Congress. Yeah, if you're lucky enough to be a congressman, you'll need 5 years in and you get your full pay in retirement. And I think their health care too. So 200 grand a year with free health care must be nice. That's why they don't care to fix health care, by the way, because they get great free health care. Representative Anna Paulina Luna of Florida has gone around Mr. Johnson in a bid to force a vote. He has declined to schedule on a bill to ban members of Congress from stock trading. Yeah, Marjorie Taylor Greene doesn't want to ban stock trading because she came into Congress worth about $750,000, and she's leaving Congress 4 or 5 years later worth $25 million, all from insider trading. Again, must be nice. Less than a year out from midterm elections in which Republicans' vanishingly small majority is at stake, Mr. Johnson's grasp on his gavel appears weaker than ever as members from all corners of his conference openly complain about his leadership. Some predict that he may not last as the Speaker for the rest of this term. Republican women in particular have been publicly challenging Mr. Johnson and taking issue with his priorities and his style. Their dissatisfaction is indicative of a broader splintering of a restive group of GOP, or is it supposed to be restless group of GOP lawmakers who are perpetually unhappy with their leaders, but appear to be reaching a breaking point with the current man at the top. Rarely have things been completely harmonious, quote, rarely have things been completely harmonious in the conference, but it does seem like there is an unusually high level of discontent, said Representative Kevin Kiley, a California Republican who has been at odds with Mr. Johnson over the redistricting battles that will likely put him out of a job next year. He added, the overriding issue is the House has not been at the forefront of driving policymaking or the agenda in Washington that is naturally going to be frustrating to members who ran for Congress to make an impact on issues they care about. The rifts have opened as Republicans preparing to face voters in next year's election are increasingly worried that they have squandered a year in which their party had total control of government. I mean, they can't blame anybody but themselves, right? They passed the big, beautiful bullshit bill. Hi, whoever that is said hi. Symbol. Why are you live streaming? I kind of like live streaming, getting the instant feedback, but Mine's mostly a news channel, The Spin Cycle. If you haven't been here before, go ahead and subscribe. The story goes, man, what I'm talking about now is a New York Times article about how Republicans are regretting not doing anything in Congress for the last year. And they're all mad at Mike Johnson because he's a little weasel and a liar. But, I mean, most Republicans are liars in Congress anyway. I mean, most politicians are liars, but Republicans are particularly guilty of being liars. Let's see, was that the end of the article? Many GOP lawmakers are unhappy with the passive role the Speaker has played in the redistricting arms race that has spread across the country and upended districts they know how to win. Even more are angry at his decision to send the House home for nearly 8 weeks before and during the government shutdown limit just to keep the Epstein files under wrap. He did that, you know, because he's basically a cuck to Donald Trump. Man, hey man. Do I love Islam? I don't hate Islam. I don't really love any religion. I'm an atheist. I don't think you should really, you know, follow a book written by some guys 2,000 years ago. That goes for the Bible, the Quran, all that stuff. Cute. Ms. Stefanik told the Wall Street Journal in an interview that Mr. Johnson would not have the support to remain Speaker if a vote were held tomorrow, adding that disaffection with him among Republicans was that widespread. Ms. Stefanik declined to speak on the record for this article. While Stefanik is a Trump simp too, she wouldn't have any career if it wasn't a MAGA career. Mr. Johnson declined to comment as well, but a senior Republican congressional aide who spoke on the condition of anonymity for fear of prolonging an intra-party feud said that after Mr. Johnson had provided Ms. Stefanik with office space and a budget for what the aide described as a fake job and a fake title, he would have expected her to be more gracious. I love your eyes and your hair, and for your information, I'm a girl. Oh, how you doing? Thank you very much. You're a girl. Where are you from? But Ms. Stefanik is not alone among Republican women in feeling. Go ahead and subscribe, if it's just for the eyes and the hair. Some of them said privately that the Speaker had failed to listen to them or engage in direct conversations on major political policy issues, suggesting that doing so was a cultural challenge for Mr. Johnson, an evangelical Christian who has often voiced firm views about the distinct roles men and women should play in society. Oh, you're from America. $100, Oliver Sinclair. $100 for what, Oliver? I am from Colorado in the U.S., but I spend part of the year in the Philippines. I get furloughed from my job, so currently I'm in the Philippines. That's why it's dark right now. It's evening in the Philippines. In a recent podcast interview, for instance, he said that women were not able to compartmentalize their thoughts and that the member whom he would trust most to cook him Thanksgiving dinner was Representative Lisa McClain of Michigan. Never heard of her. Ms. McClain, the number 4 Republican, said that the notion of any gender divide in the conference was an absurd suggestion that reeked of Democratic bias. Mr. Johnson said, she said, has treated me with nothing less than respect. He values my opinion, not as a woman, but as a trusted colleague. But some House Republican women are privately predicting that Mr. Johnson's speakership will end this term, either as a result of Republicans losing their slim majority before Election Day, or because Mr. Johnson is ousted by his own members like his predecessor. I stand with Elise, Miss Mace, who is running for governor in South Carolina, said in a text message on Wednesday morning, a day after Ms. Stefanik's enmity, it's a hard word to say, boiled over into a public feud with Mr. Johnson over a provision she wanted included in the annual defense policy. Please show us what you're reading for my sake. All right, it's a New York Times article. I'm doing this on my phone, but sometimes I do live casts on the computer version, but right now I'm just doing it on the phone. This is New York Times, Republican anger erupts at Mr. Johnson and party frets about future. I'm a political channel, so it's mostly politics here. I'll also talk about relationships and stuff if you want to. I've had plenty of those. God knows, too many probably. It's a long article. Still, the description sounded familiar to multiple Republican lawmakers who recounted a sense of resignation and defeatism in their ranks regarding the Speaker. One of them, who requested anonymity to speak candidly about Mr. Johnson's standing, summed up his members' assessment as eye rolls and no better options. Only one watching now? Is it my Islamic friend? No, I didn't write it. I don't write for the New York Times. Mr. Johnson, who was thrust into his job 2 years ago with almost no experience in leadership, has struggled under the weight of running the House and campaigning for members to keep his tiny majority. In a party that has lagged in female representation and problems appealing to women, Republican speakers before him had made it a priority to promote women through fundraising and recruiting and by elevating them to leadership roles. Former Speaker Kevin McCarthy said that recruiting women had been key to his success in gaining seats through 2 cycles. My formula for success was simple: recruit and add more women, minorities, and veterans to the House Republican Conference so that our conference would look more like America, he said. You're the only girl here? Thanks for cheering me on. Go ahead and subscribe. Mr. Johnson, his critics said, has done less of that than his predecessors. This year, there were only 3 women in the incoming Republican freshman class: Julie Frederchak of North Dakota, Frederchak, that's a weird name, Sherry Biggs of South Carolina, and Kimberlyn King Hines of the Northern Mariana Islands. By comparison, there were 7 Republican women in the incoming freshman class of the previous Congress. There is currently just 1 woman chairing a House committee, Representative Virginia Foxx of North Carolina, who leads the Rules Committee. She said that the insinuation that there was mounting ire from women directed at Mr. Johnson was brainless, as it is ignorant. In the last Congress, 3 women chaired committee. Before that, there were 8. A spokesman for Mr. Johnson said in response that several female House Republicans were part of his joint fundraising committee and had received an average of nearly $400,000 so far this year. In next year's midterm elections, the spokesman added House Republicans have women running in 10 of the top districts they are eyeing. He also noted that Mr. Johnson had appointed 3 women to serve on the coveted House Intelligence Committee. Still, some women in Congress said they are particularly frustrated by their treatment when they signed the discharge petition that ultimately forced a vote to compel the Justice Department to release files related to the disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein. The pressure on them to remove their names from the petition, some of them said, was coming not only from Mr. Trump and the White House, but from Mr. Johnson. Last month, Miss Green announced that she would resign from Congress in January. Her frustration had been simmering. When I talk about weak Republican men, I am pretty much talking oftentimes about the leadership in the House and Senate, Miss Green said in an appearance on The View last month, and they are just not getting our agenda alone. Okay, pretty good article. The Republicans are going to get wiped out, I think, next year in the midterms. My channel has more subscribers than yours, but I want it to reach 1 million as soon as possible. Yours and mine. How many subscribers do you have? Subscribe to my channel and I'll find you on there and subscribe. Even though I can't read your name because it's in Arabic. What do you do on your channel? But I'll subscribe. I don't often trade subscriptions, but... So one thing I wanted to ask you guys today about politics. Is your channel about politics? Miss, I can't subscribe. Can't read your name, 11, whatever it is. Tell me your name in English. Yeah, so back to the politics. Donald Trump, you know, he pardoned the president of Honduras, who was convicted of 45 years in prison in the U.S., in a U.S. court, of smuggling tons of cocaine into the U.S., but at the same time, he's blowing up these boats in the Caribbean that he said are smuggling drugs. He's stopping the drug cartels. So, I mean, that's pretty much a contradiction. I am not a foreigner, I am an Arab. Yeah, I know you're not a foreigner, but I live in America. Where do you live in America? So anyway, I want to get to this, like I do every week, this Reddit, leopards ate my face. Every week I've been live streaming, which is like 3 weeks now. I live in Colorado in the U.S., just so you know. Not in Denver, up by Val in the mountains. Happy birthday, President Trump. Thank you for all you are doing. Is it his birthday? All you are doing to make America great again. Happy birthday, Donald. I guess he's 80 now. Mr. President, this is not what I voted for. So this is what I'm looking at here. Somebody, I guess it's Trump's birthday? I don't know. I don't even keep track of my own family's birthday, so. Not in a mean way, it's just something I've never really paid much attention to. I don't care about my birthdays or... I date my pillow, emotionally easier and way less expensive. Yeah, I felt like that at times, for sure. Yeah, that's Trump. Oh wait, there's a... I see. I guess that was his birthday last year. Now, 1/28/2025. Trump has already accomplished more to better the American people in his 1 week in office than the last 3 Democratic presidents did in their entire presidency combined. In 1 week, he's earned a place on Mount Rushmore. Sorry about that, I hit the camera. 1 week he's earned a place on Mount Rushmore. I don't think so. And let's see, her next post, 9/2/2025, so September. To those of you calling Trump a tyrant, a dictator, or a wannabe king, call you whatever you want. Why does MAGA have such a hard time with emails and grammar? He's doing exactly what we, the people, hired him to do. Make America great again. It's about something greater than you. Your feelings are of no importance to history. 10/27/25. I voted for the man 3 times. I worked for 2 of his presidential campaigns. Would I vote for him again? Fuck no. That's funny. Did she lose her SNAP benefits or her Medicaid or what? I have no idea why we think we have any right to be shocked that the economy sucks. The leader of the free world only filed for bankruptcy 6 fucking times. Wow, her tune really changed, huh? That's why I love this leopards are eating my face Reddit. It's hilarious. And at first, a lot of people were up there saying, the beginning part of the year on this leopards are eating my face, people were posting stuff like regrets and stuff, but I mean, there was not really many MAGA people regretting it. And a lot of MAGAs would get on here and say, this is all fake AI bullshit, these people aren't regretting it, but now you see MAGAs that are really regretting their vote because they're losing. It's affecting them personally. I'll say it if you subscribe and fire a super chat. Then I'll say what you want me to say. I did my shopping for Thanksgiving dinner this week and went back to my Kroger app to pull my receipt for the same exact dinner last Thanksgiving. Total 2024, $261.74. Total 2025, $312.88. Mr. President, this is not what I voted for. Yeah, I don't think anybody voted for, what is that? 30% more, 25% more. I mean, we all know this. Everybody who buys groceries in the U.S. knows how much they cost. $67 there. MAGA mother begs in a local marketplace group as she can't afford Christmas presents, but at least she can say Merry Christmas. Hello, I'm looking for help for Christmas. I was laid off and haven't secured a new job yet. Utilities and bills are overdue and I'm slowly chipping away at them by doing DoorDash, etc. I have an 8-year-old girl and a 9-year-old boy and already told them not to expect much other than presents from Santa. But I don't know if I can even swing that. Anything, even used toys, books, crafts, etc. would help. She loves Monsters High and something, pop crafts, building kits, jewelry, making kits, etc. And he loves Roblox, Fortnite, Pokemon crafts, and building stuff or science kits. I may even have things to offer in return. If anyone has any advice or resources to share, it would greatly be appreciated. I went down to North Carolina 3 times last year helping with hurricane relief and even bringing Christmas to them. I've always loved helping, but now I'm on the other side and just hoping to have a few things under the tree for them to open. I feel sorry for your kids that you voted for Trump. I mean, like every progressive like me said before he got elected, he was going to do tariffs, the economy was going to crash, blah, blah, blah. I mean, how many times do we have to say it again? I hate to say I told you so. Nope, my channel's not advertising related. I don't advertise anything on here besides what the advertising on YouTube does. It is monetized, but my channel makes like $25 a month or something. Christmas come back. President Trump, this is the next one from her. Christmas come back. President Trump declares the return of Merry Christmas, a nod for Americans to feel unafraid to share their Christian faith openly. How nice. We're saying Merry Christmas. Nobody ever said you can't say Merry Christmas. I don't know where that all started. Some people just say Happy Holidays because not everybody, celebrates Christmas. If you're Jewish, you celebrate Hanukkah. If you're black, maybe you celebrate Kwanzaa, but probably Christmas too. If you're George Costanza, you celebrate, what was that? Festivus. Festivus for the rest of us. Anybody old enough to remember that? The airing of grievances. and weakness stand with Trump. So she's still doing Trump promotional stuff, but she can't afford Christmas presents for her kids. And I feel really bad for her kids. I do. I'm an empathetic person. And that's the problem with most of MAGA. They're not empathetic people. They don't have empathy for anybody. They only feel bad about voting for Trump when it affects them personally. Like, I didn't vote for Trump. I feel bad, but I still feel bad about what he's doing to Latinos, what he's doing to farmers. I mean, what he's doing to everybody, basically, except for billionaires. Those are the only ones he's hooking up and helping. Is your channel promoted? Are you making tons of money off your channel? She, who I can't pronounce her name, or I don't know where your name is. Republican mayor in Kansas facing deportation over voter fraud. Oh, that's pretty funny. Canadian air passenger traffic to U.S. down for 9th consecutive month. Yeah, that's what happens when you piss all the Canadians off. They're not coming anymore. So I've been all those Canadian border towns. Like, I used to work in Glacier Park as a scientist there, and a lot of those towns up there, a big part of their economy is from Canadian people driving down and vacationing in the U.S. My comment was too long. Too long for what? Claire? Subscribe. You could IM me or DM me. SOS. Oh, November 6th, my Canadian son-in-law Curtis, traveling back from a 4-day business trip, was stopped in customs. I've heard this a million times now. As he returned, he is a permanent resident since his teens. He is now almost 40. A quick background check revealed a misdemeanor at age 17. This was enough to flag and hold him for several hours while his family waited at the airport to drive him home. Only Curtis never made it home. They took him directly to an ICE detention center an hour away, gave him a December 3rd court date, and then tossed in what they call the ice box for 36 to 48 hours during processing. This box is kept at freezing temps while no blanket, bed, or protection of any kind is provided. For 2 nights he slept on an ice-cold concrete floor packed with many more detainees. Curtis was then put in a cell with 30 men. Food and water are minimal. He was denied access to money in his account for commissary. Once he finally received a few items needed, including hygiene products, he was taken in the night in shackles and transferred to another facility, now over 4 hours away. The ICE facility kept his commissary items, refused to let him take them with him, where he was once again tossed into the ice box with only a bottle of water and frozen waffle for 2 days. This new facility has deplorable living conditions, trash and filth everywhere. When Curtis was assigned a bed, he had to clear it from trash and dirt built up. They wrote build up, but they meant built up. Keep in mind, this is a privately owned facility funded by the government. This private owner is cutting corners by not having enough food, clean drinking water, or sanitation services for these people. The water is so bad and the moldy air coming through the AC vents has made Curtis very ill. He has been denied medical treatment for several days, fighting a sore throat. Yeah, these private prisons and these private ICE facilities, they're just in it for the money. And I think if you look at any statistics or anything, they're always run a lot worse and a lot more, a lot dirtier with worse food than like the publicly owned facilities, and they charge more per night. We pay more as taxpayers for these facilities, but it's Trump's cronies and his billionaire friends own these companies, so they get the contracts. This is what the whole firing all the government workers, this is what the conservatives and Trump in particular, Musk, they want to do. They want to hire companies and contract out services that the government now provides, and you get worse services, you pay more money for them. So all you people out there saying federal workers are lazy, you know, federal workers should be fired, federal working is not really a job, like Marjorie Taylor Greene said forever. That's total bullshit. Federal workers work harder than most workers. Subscribe, Claire, thank you. Is it pink, Ocean Man? I don't know what you mean. Anyway, back on my rant there. If you're against federal workers, well, here's what's going to happen. For every federal worker they fire, because I've worked for the federal government, they're going to hire a contractor to replace them, and they're going to pay 2 or 3 times as much for that contractor and get half the amount of work. I have a friend who retired from the government. He was an archaeologist. You know, we were working together at the government. He retired, and instead of retiring fully, he just came back as a contractor, and he did nothing. He came to work for like a half-hour each day, got paid more money, and did absolutely nothing. I'm from Colorado, but I'm in the Philippines right now. So Daniel Jansen's SOS. So yeah, this kid from Canada, they're using it as an excuse. He had a misdemeanor when he was 17, so they threw him in a nice facility, treat him like a criminal. I mean, and he's Canadian, so like, you know, you can imagine how they treat people from South American countries or Central American countries. Somalian voters that switched to Trump now finding out what he thinks. Yeah, he was all about the Somalians, right? Well, he did say they were eating cats and dogs in the you know, up to the election. But so here was Salman Feige. This is a Somalian who voted for Trump, and I don't know if you've heard what Trump said about Somalians the last few days. During a cabinet meeting, President Trump made a series of disparaging remarks about Somalia and Somali refugees living in Minnesota, including they bitch and should go back to their country and fix it. Salman Feige, I'm formally announcing that I'm ending all collaboration with the Republican Party. The president's blatant and harmful attacks on the Somali community in Minnesota have crossed a line. This kind of dangerous rhetoric not only misrepresents who we are, but it also creates real risks by fueling fear, division, and potential violence against Somali Americans. I cannot in good conscience stand with any entity that endangers my community. Yeah, so any black guys, you know, who are Republicans, you need to take the blinders off, because the Republican Party is a racist party. Okay, that Reddit was fun. Let's see if there's anything good on X. Here's one from one of my favorite commentators, Breaking Point's Crystal Ball. They buried starving people alive, and Israel has not been kicked out of any international institution or competition so far. Shame on humanity. What kind of world are we raising children in? How is no one demanding an end to this? Yeah, no kidding. Israel needs to be punished for what they did in Palestine and what they're continuing to do in Palestine. Burying people alive, shooting children for sport, and what's going on in the West Bank right now. I don't know if you saw that video of one of those, what do they call them, West Bank, I can't remember the name for it, but the Jewish people who basically invade the West Bank settlers, the West Bank settlers. This young guy, I mean, he's wearing a mask, he's a coward, but he walks up to an old lady, like 70 or 80, and just slams her in the head with a bat. Just because she's there, because she's, you know, not Jewish. A terrifying, this is from Rami Abdul, a terrifying CNN report reveals how Israel buried hundreds of starving Palestinians alive, bulldozed corpses and unmarked graves. Oh my God. ProPublica, where are the folks who reported the facts you're now dismissing? So just a reminder, We found 170 plus cases of immigration agents detaining U.S. citizens this year. In dozens of cases, charges have never been filed or the cases were dismissed. Among the detained, these ICE agents think they're immune, but their time is going to come when they are going to be prosecuted for all the ways they're breaking the law and going against constitutional norms. Yeah, I'm a news discussion channel. Guys, if you're watching, I know it's early in the US, go ahead and subscribe. If you want to help out the channel, get a membership. Share this with somebody. Watch my other videos. All that stuff helps out my channel. I'm a small channel. I'm trying to get to 3,000 subs. Here's a one from Breaking Points. Juan David. Okay, I'm back. Sorry, I got a call. I had to answer. I look like I might go postal. Oh, I'm completely relaxed. I have no reason to go postal. That's a MAGA thing. We all have opinions. That's what makes up individual. Yes, we do all have opinions. But facts are facts. $5. 55. Yep. Right on the nose. We'll add a year to that. GM. Dark-eyed lowlander. Oh, dark-eyed lowlander. How are you doing? I know you've been on before. What took you so long? I gotta go soon. So I don't know, you guys watch Breaking Points? If you're MAGA or progressive like me, you got Sagar and Jetty and Crystal Ball. She's the progressive, he's the conservative. I've been watching them I watched them on their old show for years. I mean, that's kind of, you know, they're like kind of some of my inspirations for this channel, but Sagar's conservative, Crystal is progressive, and you know, it's a nice balance. Sagar doesn't like Trump because most of the stuff Trump does is stupid and doesn't make sense, and you know, Trump is basically just grifting the government for all the money he can get right now. Nice, I unsubbed from the Hill long ago. Yeah, that's what I used to watch him on the Hill, and I hate the Hill now. They're so, who's that guy, Robbie, that's on there now? They're so stupid. But you should check out Breaking Point. Sagar has actually gotten more reasonable over the years. You know, he's 35 now. He hates boomers. He's constantly capping on boomers because they won't sell their houses and they have more money than him. He definitely voted for Kamala. Who, Sagar and Jetty? Or me? Trump 2027. You mean 2028? I don't know if Trump's going to be alive by then. Have you seen him lately? His mouth's all crooked. He can't stay awake for 5 minutes. I don't think he's gonna make it. Too much McDonald's and Diet Cokes. So anyway, Juan David Rojas says, I went on Breaking Points to discuss Trump's corrupt pardon of Honduras drug trafficking former president amid the country's ongoing election. Yeah, so you MAGA guys, can you answer me that? What is the reason behind Trump's pardons if it's not just outright being paid off by these people? Why would he let a Honduran president who was convicted in an American court, and you know who prosecuted him? The guy, what's his name? Trump's guy, who he just gave a lifetime appointment on the federal court. What's his name? Bove. Emil Bove was the one who prosecuted this guy, a total right-wing, lawyer. Trump for life, baby. Sleepy Joe gone, go before. Now it's Sleepy Trump, though. I mean, if you're still with Trump at this point, you're just a sycophant. You're, I know a lot of people say that to you probably, but yeah, I didn't vote for Joe Biden. I mean, I did vote for Joe Biden just because I didn't have any other choice. But in the primaries, I wanted Bernie Sanders in 2015 and in 2020. Anyway, Big Zill, go and subscribe. I like your point of view. Trump's part of Honduras's Juan Orlando Hernandez while waging a campaign of regime change against Maduro over fictional fentanyl trafficking is the culmination of a fraudulent war on drugs. Yeah, the fraudulent war on drugs started by like Nancy Reagan back in the day. Bro, you're a lefty, you need to wake up, and you probably hated Charlie Kirk too. I didn't hate Charlie Kirk, but I didn't really have an opinion of Charlie Kirk. He's an influencer of teenagers. He didn't influence me because what he said most of the time didn't really make that much sense. We woke already, Doc-eyed Lowlander. Yeah, I don't know when woke was co-opted by the right, but woke started out as an African American thing for you're woke, what's cool or whatever. I mean, I don't really use the word woke except joking around. I never called myself woke really. Look at this. Look at Trump. This is him today or yesterday. He's sleeping. He's an old dotard. And this guy is a neocon who wants to invade Venezuela more than anything in his life. That's what he wants. Marco Rubio is just a neocon. He's just a swamp creature who Trump hired to be his Secretary of State. Why? I thought he was going to drain the swamp. Hey, Ryan Grimm from Breaking Points too, and a bunch of other stuff. One of the best reporters out there. Here's Sagar and Jenny right here. 2 important things I found in the hack trove of Epstein emails in April 2007. Epstein straight up admitted guilt involving roughly 20 underage girls and an initial 2006 legal memo prepared for him that said he was vulnerable to federal trafficking charges despite later on arguments. Yeah, I saw him talk about that on the show the other day. I pretty much watch most of their shows now. It's probably my favorite news channel right now. Breaking Points. I used to watch a lot of Young Turks, but they're just way too upset about everything and emotional for me, especially Cenk. He's always yelling, you know, I'm way too even keeled for that. Well, according to those, yeah. Oh, I know, dude. I know. We're woke. But like I said, I think we need to just kill that term and just, you know, stop letting them use it, basically. Just don't react when they say we're woke, basically. There's Afton Bain. She lost that race in Tennessee, but the Trump won that seat or that district by 22 points. She only lost by 9 points. That's bad news. I think another one of my favorite news channels, the Minority Report, said today that 100 something Congress people in the GOP won by less points than that last election. Bend over. Yeah, I used to use that one on the old telephones when I was a kid. The bend over prank. Anyway, guys, I'm losing my voice again. I gotta get going. Thanks, Dark-Eyed Lowlander, for showing up again, and everybody else. And I'm gonna try and schedule one of these this week and try and make it more consistent, or maybe, you know, a regular, where I can actually show you what I'm reading and stuff on the regular screen. Yeah, I'm glad you caught me too. And like I said, I'm going to schedule it next time. So go ahead and look on the channel for a schedule. And everybody else, there's only 2 guys on there now. But if you subscribe, thanks. And I'll see you guys next time.